Yeah, bullies love to pick on people that are easy targets, or folks they think no one will stand up for. And that's because they're cowards. But today we learn how to be bully proof. Welcome to Mornings with Bishop Robert. My study's always a safe place for you to come. You're always welcome. My goal is to introduce people to the Jesus they never knew, and then help them get to know him and his word personally and better. So if our time together today speaks to your heart, then let me invite you to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Also, join our email list to get a free copy of my book, Count to One. You'll also get Mornings with Bishop Robert sent directly to your inbox each morning and lots of other great benefits. So click the link in the description. Now grab a cup, lift it up, because it's time to talk about bullies. You know, I've written before about the motorcycle gang Bikers Against Child Abuse. They're an international biker gang with the sole mission of protecting abused children. They use the image of bikers as strong and mean and menacing to their advantage. When called by a parent or guardian, the local club shows up en masse, places a biker vest on the abused child's shoulders, and let them know that they've got their back. BACA members keep in touch and often accompany the child victims to court, so the victims being less intimidated and frightened, and therefore able to give a more accurate testimony. I saw one judge ask a young girl about to testify against her abuser if she were scared. The girl replied, "No, I'm not afraid of him anymore. My friends are scarier." When you're surrounded by a motorcycle gang ready to come to your defense, you're pretty much bully proof. Well, today's verse says, "My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness." I'll go you one better than a biker gang. In Christ, you never have to stand alone. The Bible's filled with incidents where time after time God sends his angels to protect his children. A king tried to bully 3 Jewish lads who had refused to bow down before an idol he'd erected, and he threatened to throw them in a fire-filled furnace if they didn't. Well, when they still refused, he made good on his threats. He had them bound and tossed in. Except they weren't alone in the fire. God protected them. After watching them strolling about in the flames, even though they were tied up when they got thrown in, the king called to them and asked them to come out. He said, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants who put their trust in him." Another man named Daniel refused to stop praying publicly, even when his enemies had a law passed making it illegal. Now, the penalty for that crime was to be thrown alive into a den filled with hungry lions. So a bunch of Babylonian bullies thought they had set up Daniel and found a way to eliminate him with a law that, well, even the king couldn't ignore. They tossed Daniel into the lion's den. But their plan had one flaw. You see, they'd forgotten about God. Now the king had to wait overnight, but when he rushed to the pit the next morning to see what had happened to Daniel, he found Daniel unharmed and the lions as meek as kittens. Daniel told the king, "God sent his angel and shut the lions' mouths, and they've not harmed me." Hey, spoiler alert. The lions gave the bullies a bit of a different welcome. You may want to check out Daniel chapter 6 and read the whole story. It's an amazing one. Well, I could go on with biblical stories of angels fighting for Gideon and for Elisha and protecting Jerusalem. But secular history is filled with similar stories too. Attila the Hun saw 2 battle angels brandishing flaming swords flanking Pope Leo when the Huns were about to sack Rome. The angels warned Attila they would kill him if he proceeded. During the 1914 Battle of Mons in Belgium, an entire regiment of white-clad shining angels drove the German forces into a retreat. In 1918, 4 years later, German forces near Bethune, France, reported a cavalry clothed in white and mounted on white horses attacked them. The Germans defended, but the riders could not be killed with conventional weapons, including machine guns. Warrior angels. You know, don't be afraid is the most common angelic greeting when they appear. God's angels are fierce and fearsome, and he sends them to do his bidding and intervene at his command. Paul, a super apostle if ever there was one, didn't pass through life unscathed. He reports that he's been in prison more frequently, been flogged more severely, been exposed to death again and again. But God told Paul, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. So Paul was happy to see God's grace perfected in his life, even though it meant going through weaknesses and insults and hardships, persecutions, and many difficulties. Not easy, just worth it. In every situation, wherever and however we fight, God's provision of grace is sufficient. He says, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in your weakness. Sometimes God's protection walks with you through assault and attacks. And at other times, he protects you from those attacks. But however he chooses to do it, God is with you. And when God is with you, you can face anything and overcome. Because when God is for you, it makes no difference who's set against you. Do we have an enemy who's out to destroy us? Why, yes, we do. Am I afraid of him? No, I'm not. My friends are scarier. Hey, as we wrap up, can I ask you to help me introduce people to the Jesus they never knew and help them get to know him and his word personally and better? Please like this video to help more people see it. And then click follow or subscribe so that you and I can get together every day. Click the link in the description so you get a free copy of my book, Count to One. And one more thing. Share this with a friend, would you? Because as you do, you're part of the team touching more than 1 million hearts all over the world with the love of Jesus. Thanks for helping.